While surprising, we are human beings. A revolutionary idea. Thank you very much. Just kidding. However, if I just stop for 2 seconds, our mind begins to wander. Now think for a moment that you are a human being, and I'll give you 2 seconds. Now, for myself, I am a weird little constructed clump of cells on top of a wooden stage inside a concrete building constructed 60 years ago on a globe constantly spinning. You, the audience, may have imagined something much differently. However, it all sprouted from a singular and recognized factoid. This is an excellent exercise on focus, attention to detail, and the recognition of the Homo sapiens advancements. However, it shows a much more interesting characteristic to the human race, which is curiosity and knowledge. It's an extremely powerful property to have, perhaps one of the reasons for our superiority on the food chain. It gives us the true inner power for deeper reasoning, both on a literal and theoretical scale. Now, however, it's extremely important to note that it gives so much power. It allows for the power and motivation for science, for artistic expression, and a plaguing tool for philosophy. Nevertheless, its feelings on the human mind are constantly warned throughout history. We're met with Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun with his wax wings, or perhaps hearing the trite adage of curiosity killing the cat. Now, while the thought of being scared of knowledge is quite apparent in society, the act of pondering for too often could potentially raise issues, both in the present and in the future. The father of American horror, H.P. Lovecraft, painted a truly ominous warning by stating, "We live on a placid island of ignorance, in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. The sciences, each straining in its own direction, have hitherto harmed us little. But someday, the piercing together of disassociated knowledge will open up such terrifying vistas of reality that they shall either go mad from the revelation or free from the deadly light." Now, it is quite lovely, isn't it? However, when thinking about this, the idea of being scared of knowledge is quite relevant even today. Now, when we think of the idea of knowledge, when we boil it down through all the culture and warnings, we break it down, we find that there is one single criticism. It's useless in productivity and the purpose of life. And that is what I'm attempting to tackle today. Now, it's first extremely important to pinpoint the true and exact definition of knowledge. Is it just tactile inventions or abstract interpretations of the physical world? Is it just our innate information or artistic expression? Now, while it is constantly contended, for our extensive purposes, it can be best described by our favorite all-American reference book, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Out of its many definitions, it defines knowledge simply as the acquaintance with or use of art, technology, or science. Well, in other words, meaning a shared and believed societal account, from quantum mechanics to the manufacturing technique of Ben & Jerry's Chunky Monkey ice cream, both equally important. However, when even going past this perspective, knowledge is questioned even at the beginning for childhood. Almost at every school, you hear a child say, "Why is this important?" Or, "Why do I need to know this for my life?" Or, "Why is the mitochondria indeed the powerhouse of the cell?" Now, everyone asks these questions, equally, of course. But, for the most part, the child is correct. Isn't the purpose of school so we'd be able to get a job, so we can feed ourselves and our families? At least in a child's eye, that is true. These questions haunt teachers endlessly, and they usually reply by stating, "Well, it teaches you critical thinking," or teaching you how to think. And while that answer is sufficient to shoot down the question, it doesn't give the content being learned the whole entire justice that it deserves. As almost any American knows, a well-rounded job keeps us fed. Unfortunately, the knowledge of 154 Shakespearean sonnets and iambic pentameters won't be able to fill our stomachs or our pocketbooks. However, this shows that we live in a society that revolves around efficiency, monetary value, and practicality. This is just the way our world has evolved in a consumerist society. And while it is beneficial at multiple standpoints, it is a graveyard for academia. For most businesses, organizations, and universities, the extent in which knowledge and art continues is dependent upon the mercy of money and businesses. This is what causes knowledge to be shown as inherently useless, as it appears useless in our society. But knowledge appears to be much more than that. But however, it's at first extremely important to pinpoint we alter the question to become, what is the purpose of a job in society? Where is the impact? For the majority of Americans, or even those in the Western world, we work, get paid, go home, sleep, and then exchange money for goods and services. And while they may in fact be exchanging and benefiting the economy, are we really just small cogs in a large and vast corporate machine, constantly ticking, even if our own cog begins to rust and dissolve? This causes us to question specifically, are we truly this impactful in life? These thoughts could easily lead to existentialism, but let's not go all Nietzsche too far just yet. When looking at knowledge, there still underlies a few slivers of meaning. Now, I myself am an avid learner. What I enjoy. I enjoy reading books, watching educational videos, so on and so forth. However, I understand knowledge, or at least the act of gaining it, is a large and painful hassle. Of course it is. It just requires work. Now, when you have the chance to decide between scrolling through your phone or learning about the intricacies of France's social health care, obviously you'd be choosing France's social health care, as it is extremely interesting. Just kidding. But you would choose to be scrolling through your phone. But what if we challenge the way knowledge is viewed by making it part of our society? What if we take the act of learning and put it into our society of practicality? When doing this, if we just set 15 minutes each day to choose a small and minute topic, it could be anything, as long as it's not discussed at your work or school, anything to balance and improve your information and capacity of your brain. Now, of course, just one lesson, you won't see a difference. You won't learn and won't become the genius that you ever wish to be. However, if you continue to just learn something extremely small each day, well, in what about 100 days? You'll become 100 times smarter, or just 100 times more knowledgeable. What about 365 days? What about 2 years? What about 4 years? Yes, and at this point, you would be killer at Jeopardy. But of course, this isn't the point. Now, knowledge opens up something much more important, your understanding of life and the view in which yourself is in. Knowledge is extremely powerful. It continues artistic weight and meaning. It takes the achievements of the past and hands them into the future. Knowledge is able to take stories from the past and make sure that they are prevented from ever occurring. It makes our minuscule planet extremely small, yet somehow we can understand the beauties and size of the universe. This is the power of knowledge, and eventually, if you continue to just make this a small part of our society, a small part of your day, perhaps then you can contribute to knowledge yourself. Thank you.